I'm Bob Cekuta. I'm a retired U.S. ambassador, 40 years, longest serving economic officer in the State Department. And also been working at President Hudson Partners, which is an international strategic advisory firm dealing a lot with government affairs, investment advisory services, and energy and other sectors. Working in that capacity also a lot with Romania, among other countries. We have a great panel this morning. And what we're going to talk about here is kind of a shift. And actually, you're sort of just thinking, listening to the previous panel, we could probably have a whole session just on defense industries and how that goes. But think more generally. I want to think in terms of the business relationship, the business alliance between the U.S. and Romania, and what that actually means. We're at a point, to use an overly used term, inflection. And that's a time when things are changing. But as we've just been talking in the previous panel, it doesn't mean being passive in the face of those changes. It means trying to shape those changes. This means trying to think about where we want to go, what we want to see, what we've done well, what we could have been better at. And so I think, when we talked the previous panel, there was this point that was made at one time about how we have essentially for 30 years in the geopolitical world actually not talked about geopolitics, talked about diminishing risk and ignoring risk. But if you're in business, you deal with risks, you confront them. You manage them, you make a profit off them ideally. And so that's kind of a different sort of change here. And I want to sort of think about this in terms of views from Romania about how it is that the US can play a better role. I'm the only American on the panel, but I will I will not really try to sort of speak for the US, but I would just sort of say from my own experience, spent a lot of time dealing with commercial diplomacy from the U.S. and know what a lot of sort of the general complaints and ambitions and needs are of U.S. companies. But I want to hear sort of from the Romanian side and turn to our panel. We will listen first to Mr. Salameh, who I'm not going to be able to top last night's introduction. You saw the film and so forth, so you know his great experience. His time in sort of building as an entrepreneur in Romania, creating new companies, creating the Alexandru Group, and what that has done in Romania, where that's going, from startup to 1,500 employees, I think.
Yes.
And then turning next to Minister Nazare, who is now with the National Bank of Romania, but who you know too as a former finance minister, former transport minister, senator, politician from Onești, and sort of his views on sort of where we can go. So I want to just basically turn over to each of the two speakers. I'm giving each of you 10 minutes, and I come from an Austrian family, so we kind of tell time. So we're not Prussians, so I'll hit you at 11 minutes as opposed to 10. But to talk really, I think, first of all, about, as Romanians, what do you look for in terms of the business relationship with the United States? What are you looking for from us? But also, what are you looking for in terms of Europe? Because we've had elections in the US, you've got elections in Romania, but you've had elections for the EU, and a new council, a new commission is coming in. What do you want from them? And how do, sort of talk maybe about the U.S., how do we stack up in terms of competition? Not just in, we like to think we're the only ones out there, but you do business with other European countries. You do business with Japan, with Korea. How do you sort of see this moving forward? And I think at the same time, sort of a theme I'd like to sort of have us think about here on the panel, but also you, the audience. What do we need to do to deal with all the changes that are coming at us down the road? So with that, you're a brilliant, successful businessman. You've got this down.
The new government now, and those just announcement about His Excellency will be the new Secretary of the Finance of Romania, new government. So he can start.
No, it's just a rumor. Please, I insist you
Everything
start.
started with rumors.
As chair, we're protecting you, and you go first.
So Thank you, Alexandru. Thank you, Ambassador. Robert, what we need, I think today, you must acting the same how they act Chinese or Russian or people from Gulf coming to our country and investing. So it's fine, economic. So you say, okay, NATO, the strategic partner with US said, okay, be careful with Chinese. But Chinese are coming to Romania and they buy companies, they build companies, is economic. Russian indirect, as undercover people, they are coming to Romania and investing and buy companies, and still they have companies. Gulf people from many countries, UAE or Saudi Arabia or Qatar or Bahrain, they are coming to invest and buy big facilities in Romania, and somehow they have indirect also partnership with Russian people, and they come indirect with them. And we can give you a big example, the biggest company in petrol owned by Austrian from your original country, OMV, 30% of the company owned by ADNOC from UAE, and they said, I am silence partner. That means you are a front man. Well, you cannot be the biggest company in the area, and you see I am silence partner, that means you are a first man. And the Austrian state, they have around 30%, so still is Gazprom behind. So the big problem, it is you are not looking the war. It is economic. It's not by army. It's everything is economic. And now even the Russia, when they try to play with the grain, stop it, block it, not to allow Ukrainian to export their grain. Ukraine, they exported to Romania and they destroyed our grain industry because they are not communicating with us to take over by us. And we put always the solution, the Romanian us to take over of the grain of Ukraine to mix it with Romanian and we can export it. They said no because they feel they are more smarter than us. But that is, I think, is wrong. Wrong what they are doing, the Ukrainian people. So this, I think, the big issue and the big problem. You need to start to defend yourself and to be strong in that country economic, because the threats, I finished, I immigrated to Romania when I was 17 years old. I became Romanian citizen after 1990. I served my country, army. I have done a PhD and an academic military of economic war, 3 years, 2010, 2013. And I finished my PhD, and I was always talking with our colleague, the general, the army guys, is economic, is worthier. Is economic is the problem, is not military the problem. So that means, please, all the company, come to Romania and open your own companies and do business and become local and to treat. We know very well what is going to happen with Ukraine. Ukraine will be one state, two states, but at the end, we know very well Trump administration, and they are going to solve the problem, and I believe in that. Plus, we know very well, they are going to be Ukrainian neutral country. So it's no NATO member, no European member. Then nobody will invest in that country. In this case, you have Romania with almost 1,000 kilometers border with Ukraine. You can invest in that north of Romania and deal any business to deal and to sell to Ukraine. I am trading with Ukraine before the war and still doing and never stop buying, selling to Ukraine, but trading, and I'm doing big, and I help them many times. So the big problem, and if I will talk about defense, we are welcome you to come to Romania to invest in our industry together and to build manufacturers for defense sector. All the area need that kind of stuff. You have the Gulf, the Middle East now isn't changing. They need a lot of business, a lot of reconstruction of Syria can be done from Romania. Reconstruction of Ukraine can be done from Romania. So we talk about big possibility. Everything is around economy. I am businessman acting in sector of food and beverage, hotels, green energy. I am dealing now. I'm building around 2,000 megawatt. We talk about 2 billion euro projects. I am also take over last few months the gas industry of Romania, LPG, LNG, to invest, and we are supporting Moldova and Ukraine, and we give them the energy, electricity. Plus, Romania is interconnection all European. Greek company, PPC, who owned by funds on Greeks, they come to Romania, they invest, they want to have capacity production of energy to sell their countries because Greece, they import 30% of energy. So they want to do it in Romania. So you can invest in green energy. You will talk about solar, wind. We have hydro. Our companies in energy, and Minister can confirm this, 5 company value is 20 billion. One company of our country, Hydroelectrica, whose value is 40 billion. If you put Mercedes and BMW together, they are not past this value. We are a very rich country, economic point of view. Look us economic and let come to do business and build manufacture. Reindustrialization of Romania was approved by European. So we'll talk about 100, 200 billion euro we need to put again. No, we cannot stay count in China to import everything from China. And even Trump administration, they want to cut it, and good they make it. And Europe need to stop this, to buy everything from China, where the kids, they are working and delivering stuff cheap. Yes, we can. When you have employees, you don't pay them, just give them food like animals. Sure, you have very cheap competition, and you can compete with us. So rebuilding Romania industrial, we talk about 100, 200 billion euro must be done. Through Romania, you can rebuild Ukraine. Through Romania, you can build also Syria. It's 1 hour something by train, or few, 1-2 days by boat. So this we invite to come. I am open, like group of companies, to help any American company come to Romania free of charge. Please come and invest to Romania to be a regional hub. We are talk about regional hub. Romania is playing, and geographic, strategic is hub. And let's use it. Russian use Romania hub. The terminal I bought it in LPG send Russia per year up to 2 billion euro stuff coming to and split that money to corrupt the people and compromise all the government, not only Romania, in the region also. So if you want to come strong, you are a very strong country, you are democratic country. I love your know-how. I build American know-how on my structure globally. Look, my people, I have people from 20 countries is coming to here. So this is American know-how. You have great know-how, but economic, business, you are not so strong in the area. And your enemy is using economic, nothing else. Sorry, I was a little bit more tough, but that is the truth. Always when I was a child, my mother, she passed away. She used to tell me, one day, Father, you come stop to say the truth. You can use kind of white layer. I cannot. This is the truth. Your enemy is using business. Russians, they use vodka to sell, they have access to billions of euro around the world to compromise everybody with one drinks. What I promise, I will replace them globally. You can understand. So gas, they use it against business. So they use this kind of business, and the same the Chinese, cheap product and build. Look what happened with our 5G. And one day, somebody from us, smart, they believe, they take the decision to go with the Chinese because they was their branch in Hong Kong. But again, we need 5G, I think. And Americans say not to do with Chinese. Okay, we'll not do with Chinese, but who will do it? Come and do it. So that is the problem, is economic. We need strong company to come to us. Again, also defense, I am open to be partnership with anybody who want to come defense to Romania. Thank you.
Thank you. And there was a good point in there in terms of, sort of implicit maybe, in terms of differing ideas of how to do business. Because I think one of the things which we've seen with China, not to get into the China dumping conversation that's very sort of popular in the city at the moment, but we've seen again and again the Chinese coming in at very low prices, undercutting industries, and those industries, I saw this in Germany when I was minister there, going out of business because they can't compete, and then the Chinese are the only alternatives. We've seen that now in terms of rare earths, lithium, other minerals coming out of China, and sort of what we're sort of seeing. So I think your point there is very good. Mr. Minister, former minister.
No. Actor.
No, you
Let's
don't
keep
get,
it-
I will tell you,
let's-
having been through the confirmation process in Washington, I don't know what it's like in Romania. You don't go out ahead of any nomination or any statements because you get in big trouble. So, Mr. Former Minister,
Yes.
your thoughts in terms of what Romania is facing today in terms of changes in the global economy, changes in the European system, changes, coming at us in terms of politics, and what this means for Romanian business, what this means for Romanian. I would also think we should talk a little bit about younger Romanians, because a lot of us in this room will remember the change, the end of the Ceausescu regime, remember the collapse of the wall. But if you're 35 years old, that's like when I was a kid and my parents kept going on and on about the war and the depression, something of ancient history. What should we be telling someone who's 35 and starting out in terms of what they need to face and how they need to try to help manage that, and how we can help them?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, thank you for this privilege to be part of this panel and to talk about the economy and business, especially here and especially with you. Very essential, in my point, think tank in Washington, D.C., bridging the gap between, let's say, the Romanian business and the Americans, especially also the American community. I'd start by saying that we didn't end the first panel. We continue the first panel. We continue the first panel into the economic statecraft, into the economic war. These are not, first of all, these are not separate panels. And it's a very interesting coincidence that I also started my PhD in economic war. I didn't know you had a PhD in economic war, so we're two people in this panel having some sort of education in the economic war. And why I'm saying that? Because we have to do, especially in Romania, we have to look at our mindset. I think it's essentially a problem of mindset, of how we look of our economic development and how we prioritize things. I think we should stop treating economy as a secondary issue. You may argue otherwise, but treating economy as the first and foremost priority of a government is something that translates into the programs, actions, and all the, let's say, implementation of a government administration. So when we would put economy on the first place, when we would change the mindset into treating economy as the first and foremost priority, that would be seen in the entire action of the government, diplomatic part of the let's say, economic diplomacy and all the actions of the government. So this would be, let's say, this would be the first and foremost thing we need to do. Then, we've lived an economic dream. Either the 35-year-old, the 45, last 20 years for Romania were an economic dream. I'm not sure how much, to what extent we realize that. We look at the numbers and we see that. For instance, we look at the GDP, nominal GDP. It's increased 7 times in the last 20 years. We look at the GDP per capita. It increased 7 times in the last 20 years. We looked at the gap between the average GDP per capita in EU versus Romania in 2023 and where it's now. So there's a rise from 32% to 80%. It's a huge rise and a fast rise. And we wonder, where is this speed coming from? And there is an economic explanation. We had one predictable, stable thing in our economy, the flat tax. Even if it's not perfect, flat tax was one predictable thing that we didn't change for 20 years. And that helped us. That helped us compared to the neighboring countries to be a capital-intensive country, not a labor-intensive country. So we were not going after the jobs, we were going after the capital. And I think we did right, and we should continue to do it. That's why 6 months ago, I submitted a piece of legislation that would want to, preserves the flat tax for another 10 years. I think it is essential to be predictable for another 10 years and to send a signal to the investors that we will not change from one day to the other the fiscal system, that we realized how good it was and we want to preserve it. And it's also, I was thinking last night, it's also a symbolic and very important moment. I was attending the gala you organized at the same time in the first day of our Schengen accession. How beautiful. How beautiful. Such a historic milestone we achieved. We probably are not aware, but it's so much work involved in this. And it's not the work of present people, it's the work of all people, all governments that have been, that has been put into this for the last 15 years. We started in 2011 with no chance, almost. We faced several no's inside the EU. We faced also last night, yesterday, an opposition, still an opposition from Netherlands, but eventually we succeed. What will this mean for Romania? So this was a break for economy of over 2% of GDP every year. Count from 2014 to 2024. 10 years with a break evaluated at around 2% of GDP. It was a huge break for Romania and a huge frustration for people that accumulated over time. What I think we should do is build on this message of stability and predictability. There is a lot of talk about instability in Romania now, connected, of course, with the news related to elections, canceling of elections, and so on. I wouldn't go forward into deepening these messages. I would actually do quite the opposite. I would reassure everybody that Romania is resilient and will go out of this situation very fast. We'll appoint a government, a prime minister. We'll have a minister's list soon. We'll have the government approved in the parliament. And we will have eventually what the investors are looking at. We will have a budget approved very fast. Once we do all these things very fast, we send a message of resilience, not a message of, oh, we've been interfered. Actually, we're strong enough. We've been there for so much. We've been there and we know how to defend ourselves. We know how to respond to interferences and we'll solve this situation. Okay, it's difficult, but we'll solve it. And I think that's the right attitude to emphasize our ability to navigate through these challenges, not emphasize on the interference. I believe there are some fundamental advantages that we have that we are not talking about enough. For instance, we don't talk about our potential to become an energetic hub. That's exactly what Nawaf said. We have huge advantages. We don't say that we are now the #1 producer of gas in Europe. We don't talk about this enough in Washington. We don't send these messages. We don't talk enough about our advantages in the energy side. We don't tell American investors how well is Romania and they can make a lot of money in Romania with our fiscal system, and it's a stable country, and look at the attitude of present investors. If you look in our FDI, analysis, you will see that investors that already came in Romania, they kept on reinvesting. Only this year, they reinvested around 3 billion. So out of 5.5 billion FDI, more than 3 billion are reinvestment. And another 2 billion is debt. Also money sent to Romania, also for reinvestment. So people that came in are very happy. We have indeed an issue with attracting newcomers. And this is something we have to fix. And how we fix it? You know, I was thinking about Cheng, going every month to Romania, seeing production sites and so on. And probably Cheng knows very well how difficult it is and what it effort, how much it takes. Well, we need to make the life of an investor much easier. To make the life of an investor much easier, that means the government should keep up the speed with the speed of the investment. Should keep up the speed with all the incentives that the investor would like to hear, would like to have. Because this is a competitive market. Other countries in the region do the same thing. We have to adapt to this environment. We have to change the attitude from a rather passive attitude, government attitude towards investment, waiting for them, into an attitude, let's say, proactive attitude, like going to attract investment and going to attract high value investment, not only investment, because besides of the energy competitive advantage, we have a digital and technological competitive advantage. It's not a coincidence that we won the competition to host the European Cyber Center. It's not a coincidence that we are the capital of cybersecurity. We have a lot of talent. So this is, again, maybe not sufficiently exploited, and we don't do sufficiently as a government to send this message about our competitive advantages here. Then, one more thing. We just approved our PPP legislation. We talk about it for 20 years. Now the guidelines are on the website of the Ministry of Finance. Let's do PPPs. Let's promote PPPs in the US. US investors know, they are very much familiar with PPPs. We have here, there's all the expertise. There are models which function in every field. So let's get them in Romania. I did 3 months ago with the Commerce Department, I organized a conference and a training with 50 experts from Eastern Europe and American experts on PPPs in Bucharest. We will do it again in June, just to raise the awareness on the fact that PPP is real and we need PPP. And we are in exactly the moment Romania needs these PPPs, because we will not enjoy the European funds forever. They are diminishing. So we need to learn how to collect money, to collect revenue, and do our own investment, and also create a trust in between public and private in Romania, public and private abroad. We need to bridge this trust, to bring all the energies together in order to have Romania as a US investment base in Eastern Europe. We need to set it up as an objective, do a program, and execute it in a realistic way. Not just talk about it, talk as an aspiration, but do it. Coming back to Cheng example, we need a one-stop shop for these investments. I'd see that one-stop shop at the Prime Minister level, with the key ministers there, that would respond to any request. I see this bridged in between central and local administration altogether. And that should be the one-stop shop that know exactly what incentives an investor may have according to the priorities of FDI of the government. because we cannot prioritize to have any FDI. We need to prioritize to have high value FDI and to make sure we streamline this process. Because now it's not streamlined. Now we have requests in different ministries, in local, in central administration, and many of those get lost. Many investments were lost. We didn't actually make a list of how many FDIs we actually missed for other countries around us. Other countries which are smaller, have lower resources, but do better in FDI. And in order to fix things, we need to recognize that. We need to recognize if the others do better and to see how do we fix the situation so we can do better as well. So, all in all, I think I touched all the points, but I would be very willing to respond to any question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to sort of take a couple of thoughts. You have a lot there. I'd like to sort of take two particular areas that you raised and ask Dr. Salameh his thoughts as an entrepreneur and a business person. One is a very particular area of interest to me and is energy.
Correct.
And if we think about energy, it's not just oil and gas, it's not just coal, it's renewables, it's hydrogen, it's rare earths and all the rest of the stuff you need to make the renewables thing. And in terms of the amount of money involved, last month's COP, the Council Committee of the Parties at the UN in Baku, talked about their focus was on financing the change that's needed for energy security and dealing with climate change, but just simply giving us the energy we need to keep going in the future. And they called for $300 billion a year going primarily from the richer established economies, that would be Romania at this point, to developing countries. But the idea that I want to put here, oh, by the way, people were upset with that because they said we actually need 1 trillion, a year shifting. I mention this number not necessarily as how much it's going to flow, but an idea of the scope of what it is we're talking about. And that's everything, including new grids, upgraded systems, how you get the electricity for the data centers, for AI, all of this stuff. That's the amount of money we're talking about here. So that's one question I have in terms of where Romania can kind of play in this world of being a strategic hub, but also as you move into IT and move into these other things, how you get the power that you're going to need in this system. Plus, of course, the whole little geopolitical question of Russia and what Gazprom has done over the years and how that goes. And then the other question, since that isn't enough, is, okay, as a business person, how does this one-stop system kind of work? What would you, I mean, if you were a foreigner or dealing with foreign investors coming to me, what exactly do they need to have? Because a lot of times we'll talk here in Washington about a whole of government approach. And I've just done some work, on commercial diplomacy for the United States. And my point to the senators was, yeah, you got to talk to the State Department, but the State Department needs to do more. Commerce Department needs to do more. But by the way, you got to talk to the Agriculture Department. You got to talk to USAID and all the rest of this. So the kind of how do you bring all of these different agencies together? And so you, Dr. Salameh, as a business person, how would you sort of see that? So
I think.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think Alexandru point exactly how we can make it done. From my experience of investing outside of Romania, and here I think I will share 4 system how they do the reinvest, how they approach me the government. I will talk about the government of US through the system of Select Invest US, where I'm talking about JETRO, talking Japan, and I will talk about Contra from Korea, Korea, and I will talk about Greece, also invest. So That four country, I will take the select invest US. So when I come here with His Excellency Ambassador Hans, what they have done at home, like ambassador, they select 50 companies Romanian, capable to come to invest in US, okay? And we went together. And every ambassador around the world, they come with his 50 people at Washington. They visit, I think, the president and all the secretary of the labor and this, and was all the states of the US presenting themselves what can offer, okay? So that from Kentucky, that's from Florida, that's from Chicago, from everywhere presenting. And I end up to discuss with the state of New York, and I take the decision I want to invest in the state of New York. Then I move it to state of New York, and I started to discuss locally and national in the same state. So the government of New York told me, okay, I can give you 1, 2, 3. And the local, they can give you 1 by 3. I invest, I bought big piece of land, 77 acres, very big, it's too much big, okay? And I started to, and they told me, okay, we can give you advance around, if I will invest, let's say $100 million, I will take it in the next 10 years. I chose this method, and reducing of tax almost 35%, I will take it back. That is one method. This is one method we can look like Romanian to see, select, invest Romania. But that it is the concept. So every ambassador presented. Second method, the JETRO, where I'm dealing now, JETRO, they have local, they have JETRO 2 organizations. One to help you to invest in Japan, one they help you to invest out Japan. So that is very interesting also for us Romanian. We need help, a structure to be inside, outside. I like that one, the JETRO one, how they do it. So we wanted with dealing with the JETRO, and by the way, the head of the JETRO in Japan is American citizen from Chicago. So was dealing opposite, and it's very nice, very mad, I think. David, how is the name of our guy? David is talking with Nick. So it is the name, I think Matt, his name, very nice. See, we wanted, and they show us all Japan, and they was local JETRO. We visit 20 locations. Every local present what they can give, they can help, all this stuff, plus some financing. That is JETRO. To Contra again, they have almost similar system. Okay, Greece, here I want to come. The Prime Minister, they have Secretary of the State from Foreign Minister is reporting directly to the Prime Minister, what they said Alexandru before. They have budget and say, I have in my pocket 1 billion euro. Okay, what you want to do? I want to do this project. Okay, how much your project? 200 million euro. Okay, we can give you 50% from your budget. But they have budget in his pocket. And they sharing with the businessman. And we apply for one project. And here tell you they can confirm in Greece. We apply one project and they give us around 40%, I think, cash money. But again, you have Secretary of State from Foreign Affairs reporting directly to Prime Minister, but they have budget. So they don't talking. And they have industrial zone, entire Greece, and told you, go and choose where you want to buy your land or lease your land, and they fix the price. So nobody can, if you buy land, you cannot resell it. So they kill the real estate business and that business. So that is the model we need Romania. I think Romania need select, invest Romania. We need organization to welcome the people and to put the budget and say, this is, and then no need to go to local and discuss. If they want to go to invest to Cluj need to present the industrial zone areas, what they can help him because they are going to hire people, all this stuff. Just it. But budgeting point of view must to stay budget separately. I am with 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion. Even this I need for me in Romania because I'm investing, no limit in Romania. This is my country. I will do anything for my country, okay? To defend my country. So I am investing in anything, no limit. I am buying anything, it's per my friend. I need it in Romania also. So I need select invest in Romania, and I need maybe my American companies to go to invest in Romania. I want to my Greek companies, my Cyprus company, my Brazilian company. I don't know how many countries we have. Okay, I want them to go to invest also in Romania because they are doing. I have independent organization around the world up to 100 countries, and I have 100 companies. And I want them to come back to invest. So this system we need to create it, and I think Alexandru got the point. That will be the solution for American to come and to invest, having that select invest Romania. That is the answer. About the energy? Energy. Okay. Energy. I think energy again. If here I have the head of green energy, Aris Gogos. If he can share with us how they manage to pass the process to now he applying construction a permit of construction of 2 projects, 220 megawatt solar, 220 megawatt wind, and some storage. I think he can tell us what means to deal with this and how they pass it in less than 1 year and something, and we apply and we are moving on. We have to choose a partner between, I put first my Romanian companies because we have big organization and I want to partner with my Romanian company. Other way, we have offers from companies from US. This to be partner with us because we started first 500 megawatt and we'll move to 2,000 megawatt. So I want to keep my partnership to have around 51% of that partnership and to invite all the people to come to invest. But if you want to, I can tell him to share with us how he managed to go and to apply. Before he can take the authorization, he pay the insurance to go after permit of construction. If you wanted, he can give you a live example. Aris Gogos, please.
Can we get a microphone? Sure. But I think this is actually very good because part of this, I mean, in Washington right now, there's a lot of talk about renewables and so forth. It's very political, but it's a commercial opportunity, and even things we may do in the U.S. There's a lot that's going to be going on in Europe and other parts of the world. So I think this is very helpful.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We could stay and discuss for hours and for days and for weeks about these small adventures that we had when we started around 4 years ago, what you say in Romania, with the second wave of renewable energy projects. And of course, we have this unique opportunity to have our properties of our shareholder and sponsor in the area which is more generous in wind and sun source. So, but just to jump on what was the question about, there are one very important thing that we have to keep in mind about Romania is that it has a very generous mix of energy sources. And this makes the country unique in Europe. It has a combination of, let's say, the old energy, the transition energy, and the future energy. And all of them in a very nice rounded numbers that allows Romania to be a country that can provide space for all the investors from all these type of energies, whether it is about GPL or LNG or nuclear or hydro or hydrogen or wind or solar. So there is a very generous space for all type of investors from US, from Europe, from all the countries to come and to invest in the country. Now, about how to do this, indeed, there are several things that they have to be improved. Actually, if we could say that the target of every investor is to go after 3 main permits. Is the permit of the connection to the grid, is the permit, the building permit, and it's about the permit of the evacuation of the electricity. So these 3 simple things, they have a little bit of adventure behind. There are a lot of authorities that are being involved, not on a way that could optimize the process. So the things sometimes become complicated, and it's hard to know how to decomplicate them. At the same time, there are some requirements that, again, Mr. Nawaf mentioned before the issue about the guarantees. There are some guarantees required where there is overlapping 2 different authorities, regulated authorities. It's about the ANRE and it's about BNRE, which means there are some guarantees required from the investors to secure reinforcement costs from the grid. So the grid have to be fixed. This is not only in Romania, in all the countries, it has to be fixed. There are significant amounts for this. There are investment plans about this, in the future. But when the investors, they have their projects to be implemented, since the authority cannot guarantee that they will have these amounts in place, then the investor is required to invest himself this amount and to recover in the future. For doing this, there is a guarantee required. This guarantee, it's a bank guarantee. So when you go to the bank to discuss about the guarantee, the bank cannot understand what is the risk for issuing the guarantee. So there is a kind of complication still there. And I just mentioned this as an example because there are also similar complications between Ministry of Agriculture, where you have to extract the land in order to place the solar panels, but at the same time, you're taking a part from the agricultural land of the country outside. So it sounds contradictory. There are issues. Again, it's not about complaining. It's about trying to simplify things and creating some confidence to the investors. Because, for example, again, there are many numbers also on the news, I've noticed one number that there should be around 50 gigawatt of connection permits issued from the TSO. I mean, we're discussing about 1 giga, the investment estimates should be around 1 billion. So there is an authority that has issued permits of 50 billions, knowing that this is not possible to be done. So again, there should be a few issues that they should create more confidence to the investors, that there are some limits, there are some general rules in the game of this. We are more confident about the environment. We are there 30, 40 years. We know how to do the things properly. But again, we have to encourage the investors from abroad with this confidence and with more simplified measures to come and to invest also fast. It's about also timing here. I mean, we are now in front of several challenges and we have to show this.
No, I think it's good. I think that's really helpful. I think if you've had any reactions there, because I think the soundbite I want to keep in mind is decomplicating the process, because it's all too easy. You know, here in the United States, there has been great recognition of the problems we have with the regulations. Whereas I think Secretary Granholm has talked about how it would take 8 years to get all the permits through to build a blasted power line. This is, you know, there's a recognition that we have to fix this, but we haven't been able to move on that with either party. You have some thoughts on this?
Yeah,
too?
of course.
May I-
Come with this? Just if I could just.
Please.
Yeah. Can I address this energy issue?
Go ahead.
Because I know you're
got the
saving
microphone,
time
too.
for. I have the microphone. Sorry.
The talking stick, you get it.
Suck it up. Okay. You know, listen. Everybody knows. I've been investing in this beautiful country of Romania for 34 years. Okay. This idea of one-stop shop was something that President Iohannis floated when he first was elected. It's great. We need this ombudsman office. Just like President Trump just announced for any foreign investment of 1 billion or more, that he would fast track all the permits, all the licenses, including environmental licenses. So yes, I'm a strong proponent. I think it's a wonderful idea. But even as a veteran of 34 years, let me tell you, it's not all that easy.
I know.
So for us to build a box, we build boxes, okay? We build warehouses. It's an A-framed box, for God's sake. Okay, ours is more technically advanced because we build refrigerated warehouses. In the beginning, when we first started building these warehouses, we needed 21 permits. I mean, for God's sake, we needed permits from the nuns, or I don't know. We had to build bomb shelters. I get it. Okay, we have fewer permits. But can I tell you how long it takes to obtain an issue approval? On the average, it's about 1.5 years. Now, why is the government not expediting when people, investors like ourselves, my husband, we are waiting to invest in infrastructure of Romania. And yet, we cannot go on because we cannot obtain a construction permit without an issue. So, this is a challenge for you, Alex. Help me. Help me get the bloody issue so we can build, so we can put more money. And I'm so glad that you mentioned this point about reinvestment. We have not repatriated any capital whatsoever. We have put back in every penny that comes out, every leu, whatever, that comes out of Romania into another building, another investment, another project. It's impossible. If someone like me, who actually know quite a few people in Romania, if I'm having a problem, I hate to think about those newcomers who are just landing in Otopeni thinking, oh my gosh, this Romania, you're NATO, you're EU, I want to do business here. Get out of here. Okay, let's drink more coffee and wake up. Speaking of renewable energy, I've been trading electricity, wholesale electricity for the last 15 years. We've invested in renewable energy. We produce renewable energy. But can I tell you how long it takes to get an ATR? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Oh, so all due respect, ANRE, okay? Between the grid connections and ATRs of the world, it's not all that easy. So, cut the red tape, do whatever you need to do, but we must go on. We must go on. And I don't care whether it's, copy paste what we're doing here in the US or what President Trump wants to do here in the US. Okay, it may not be 1 billion, but we need to expedite. If you're going to we're going to attract more foreign investors. So I don't want to monopolize. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chang, for this question. It's, if we don't recognize these things are going on, if we don't recognize what's the reality, we are in it, we cannot fix anything. So we need to be very honest and see what we achieved until now, where we failed, why we failed, and how we can fix it. If we always say, okay, we're doing good, everything is good, Romania is growing, okay, Romania is growing, but the potential is much higher, was all the time a lot higher than we have achieved. So we have to look also at the potential, not only at the growth. We talk about GDP growth, nominal GDP growth. Okay, GDP growth, it's important. It's 70% in the last 4 years. But we shouldn't look only at that, we should look at the economic growth. And the economic growth decelerated from 2021, from 6%, now we are barely at 1%. And we have to think how we reverse that trend. What we do to stimulate the economy to reverse that and to restart growth again. And yes, Chang points are extremely good. We have to prioritize economy. This is how I started. I said we shouldn't treat it as secondary. And I am very elegant when saying treating it as secondary. Because if he would have treated it as a priority, many of these issues in the administration of different levels, bureaucracy, permits, would have been resolved by now. Okay, they are not resolved. But we need to build a plan to solve them. And for instance, in terms of budgeting, promotion of Romania, I tabled an amendment as I was senator last budget at the end of 2023. And I said, okay, let's give the Prime Minister a fund for these essential projects of Romania, promotion of Romania, Schengen, accession of OECD, and so on. Let's give an instrument to the Prime Minister dedicated to this economic promotion and so on, in order to have the funds and don't have other ministries to debate over, spending or not spending money and so on. My amendment did not pass. But it's never too late. We need these change in mindset that we cannot do a real promotion of Romania without funds. We need governmental funds for this, not only private. We need to to put money for this, and we have enough money to put for this because the benefits are extremely high. And one more thing, we need to reset the programming, let's say reset the foreign affairs mindset in general. Ambassadors have to have KPI for economic activity. Ambassadors have, and I'm not talking about the president ambassadors here, but the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has to change completely the attitude towards economy, investment. So they have to be set up on this, and they have to be evaluated on this. And the foreign minister has to have this evaluation on this. Foreign ministers of Romania and the entire Ministry of Foreign Affairs has to work together with the business environment, not completely separate. They don't have to be afraid anymore of working. They have to trust the business environment because business environment is Romania. They're not foreign. It's the heart of Romania there. So they have to work together. And for this, they need a reset. This is how we start this, with this reset, because otherwise, if we have a deputy minister that would be in charge of this in a ministry without this reset, I'm not sure if he would succeed. Okay. And again, the change has to be in the Prime Minister office as well to adapt for this. But we need to work. And
we need, I think here the most important thing, we need your know-how. American know-how is work. So come to help us to set up the know-how. So what they said before, Alexandru, exactly what I am saying also. Yes, we need this one-stop shop, but not only the solution, we need the know-how. So we know how to deal, we have to protect our country, our nation, but this kind of know-how, even in US, you used to have the problem in election between the two parties. The actual president, the elected president was the crazy people, the three of them tried to kill him. It's a big problem everywhere in democracy. But you have the know-how, and they are working your know-how, and they manage to pass any big problem you have. So what we need from you, help us and to have your know-how. I think your system of select, invest, US can be model we need to copy. Because with this system, I come to US, and today I have many companies, I have a problem, and I import the know-how in my structure. In our office in Romania, where we are leading the global business, we talk 10 languages maybe. We have colleagues from many countries, from US, we have colleagues, we have everywhere. I think I don't remember how many countries we have. So the your model already I imported, and I am counting this model. In Brazil, I am counting, and any part of the world counting, or in East Europe or in Japan even, we are counting in your model. So what we need, give us your know-how, please. Not only the intelligence one, we know it, we take it, we need the commercial one from you. So we need the commercial, your know-how to be imported. And here people like Alexandru and the rest people propose in our government, they wanted that know-how, how to convince the old-fashioned of people. Any country have old-fashioned people, and you have old-fashioned, you have president old-fashioned, okay? Acting president. So it is old-fashioned to be changed. But I think this is, the know-how we needed from you.
I want to jump on something you said. You said, as the longest-serving economic officer in the State Department, this is one of the things which we put a lot of emphasis on in the U.S., need to do more on, is commercial diplomacy. And grew not as a regional guy, but as an econ guy to be top levels in the State Department ambassador. This is the kind of thing which we are still working on. But I want to sort of close out with a quote from Colin Powell, who, when he was Secretary of State, said, you know, it was perhaps his first couple of years in the job, he said, you know, I'm really amazed because every foreign leader who I meet with talks to me about trying to get investment in their country. And it was sort of, I mean, this was four-star general, had been national security advisor, and yet still the idea of the economic components in foreign policy was kind of a shock to this guy, who was brilliant. And I think it's not just a problem in Romania, it's a problem here, and something which we need to address actually with the new incoming tranche of ambassadors to make this point across. But I think, again, learning from each other, building on the experience that we've had, figuring out where the roadblocks are, because it ain't going to be easy here either to change this. It's not just federal regulation in the United States, it's local regulation, it's state regulation. All of these things need to be addressed, and if you don't address them, you end up in court, and you spend half your time fighting in the legal system in the United States. So we've got areas we need to be learning from too.
And I want to give, thank you very much. I want to give answer to Mrs. Shan about what she mentioned. He's right. It's a problem with issue and all this stuff, what happened, but that because was big mistake. Some people die, and we need to change the law. But I think, you know, this environment and concerned with this problem, that is target of Russian and Chinese to come to invest in Romania. They like this kind of problem because with this problem they can invest. So what we need to help us to, with your know-how, to take rid of this problem quickly and from now come to invest together. For that, I am investing in this environment. Anything I am investing because that attractive for the bacteria coming from China or the bacteria coming from Russia to invest in this atmosphere, you know, atmosphere. One is everything problem for everybody. American is afraid to come to invest. UK is invest too rich. Everybody is afraid to invest. Japan, the same, afraid to invest. That is perfect for Chinese and Russian people to come to invest. So you need to understand this. It is perfect for them. So if you will wait us to clean up, will take times, but we will end up to have again our economy owned by Chinese and Russian investor in Romania. So this is the problem. We don't have 10,000 Alexandru in Romania to clean up in one day, okay? So we have a few of people smart and they sacrifice their future. They can be great to work everywhere to help their country. So we need help from you, know-how, and come from now to invest together. We will risk. I said, everybody, if you want to invest in Romania, I will risk first, and don't worry about your money. We will protect your investment in Romania. So that is my message was.
Thanks. I think we've got one question, and I think probably after this, we are probably need to go to lunch. Chang, was that the?
No.
Okay, so my question is
please.
stays between you and lunch. I'll try to be fast. So we've been talking about American companies coming to invest in Romania, but I want to switch a little bit the course. What about Romanian companies investing abroad and investing in US? And Minister Nazare, the question is mostly addressed to you. And I know you're wearing a double hat of the banking system in Romania and the Minister of Finance. How is the banking system in Romania, especially the Romanian banks, the state banks, how are they helping and encouraging Romanian companies investing abroad, investing in outside of European Union, especially here in US? And as well as how is the tax system supporting Romanian companies that want to invest? And I would also appreciate a ping pong with Mr. Nawaf, who's actively investing here in the United States, and appreciate your insight of how was your trip and what it took to invest here. Thanks.
Well, I'll try to respond very fast. To start with my hats, you know, the finance minister hat was in 2021 for 7 months. 2021 was the year in which Romania had a 6.5 economic growth, a decrease in economic debt of 2.5%, and a decrease in the deficit, budgetary deficit of 3%. So it was a very good year. But I was reshuffled very fast in July 2021. So 7 months were not enough. And anybody who would take on a job like this, it needs a serious plan and some time to implement it. And yes, banking system can do more. State-owned banks as well should do more. But all these things are not aligned to overarching objective of economy. And that's the problem of mindset. We start with that. And then if we talk about what we should do in the banking sector, what we should do in every industry and so on. The most important thing is to change the essential. This is the essential, to change the attitude towards economy. Yes, there were many things that could have been dealt differently because you also had, during this time, an incredible amount of resources. This RRF money we have, unfortunately, we spent only 6% almost from the entire RRF and maybe 40% of the pre-financing. And this program started in 2021 and it will end maybe in 2026, in June it was supposed to end. But anyhow, we have a lot of resources at our disposal and we have to make real use of this. And if you tell American investors that we have a state aid program and in which in some of the provinces of Romania and some of the counties, you spend 10 million, the state gives you 5 million. If you explain only this, it's very interesting and it's not many places in Europe where this is going on. And then, yes, you touched an extremely important point, how we act abroad. Nobody talks about this, seriously. Where do we invest? We invest in Cyprus, in Moldova. Where do we invest? If you look at the flow of investment abroad, you wouldn't see that there is a strategy to become, let's say, a regional player and to have, key strategic investments in the region. And maybe even US is looking at us as a trusted partner to do that, to act economically in the region. Just as Poland acts in the north, we should act in the south. We need that strategy. We shouldn't say, we're doing this, we're doing that. No, we should say, okay, we didn't do sufficient. We need a strategy, and this is what we're going to do, and follow this plan. But we don't have yet such a plan of being a serious player in the region with investments.
Final comment.
The problem here, he mentioned, Alexandru, exactly the problem. We don't have any strategy for Romanian company to be helped by the state to go to invest outside, like Poland doing, like Czech doing, like Slovakia, Slovenia, Hungary doing. So I think here we need to speed up and to discuss with in our country to make as soon as possible. Yes, is American come to Romania and buy companies and they have and they want to go through the Romanian company to invest in neighbor country, will not take any help from the Romanian government about his Romanian company. Yes, this is a big problem. We need to be solved. They don't exist. I come here, select invest through holding structure. There wasn't involved any kind of the Romanian entities to take. I give example to Poland. They were Austria and German. They say when you go to your company invest outside of the country, you have not to pay taxes for the dividend, and even you take credit from the state till you go outside, because any company go outside invest is healthy for the mother country and the mother company, because you go outside, you open new market, and you bring back money and dividends, and you can use both countries to subsidies. Example, I don't think it's Alan Ederson, he in the head of the whiskey, we discussed to build a big plan to cover raw material, what we need for our facilities in US and Japan from Romania. So that is again is something advantage for both this to using Romania territory to build raw material for our needed in Japan and America. So this is also for we need to sell as soon as possible to give credit and to push and to come our Prime Minister to hear and say, I have in my pocket 2 billion euro, I want to invest it through the business people with America and put 2 billion and go and to invest in US, because we are some companies very strong and we want to invest outside of Romania. You are right. We don't have policy. We need to make it as possible as well done.
I want to thank the panel and just maybe summarize a couple points here. I think, out of this discussion, first of all, there's no wall between economics and geopolitics. As a matter of fact, economics are part of geopolitics, and thinking in terms of, there could be good Chinese investments, bad Chinese investments, and what's going on and how we deal with that and how countries deal with that. The need for stability and predictability, the need for decomplicating, the need for one-stop shops, and select Romania for investment as a possibility to be looking going forward here. But I think most of all, the point which I come out of in this conversation is the need for change in mindsets. And if you notice, I pretty much said that, not necessarily just about Romania, but probably also about the US and other countries as well. And I could speak in terms of other countries in the EU and Japan where I've worked. We're at a time that we need changes in mindsets. And I think the ideas that have been brought forth here by the panel have been really helpful. So if I could ask everyone to thank them before you go get food. Thank you both very much. Thank you.